But guys, let's end the podcast before Dave gets any more douchey on this one. As Dave said in between these segments, I should have been in bed 4 hours ago. We are 20 minutes from 2 o'clock.
I think I
have to be up in
douchiness.
5 hours.
Let's get this done quick then.
7 o'clock, baby.
So we are going to end the podcast. Me?
Never.
Oh, you have
We're
tomorrow
seeing Endgame.
I think I'm just taking the day off.
Yeah, we're seeing Endgame.
It's 1:39 in the morning, Sean.
So
no.
We're going to end the podcast just talking about best and worst picks. What some of the picks you like, what are the ones you didn't. Sean, I'm going to let you start.
Oh, great.
You can start best or worst. What's a pick you liked or what's a pick you didn't like?
Oh, man. I'll
Probably
start worst.
that we didn't talk about already. So like Daniel Jones, don't say it's your worst.
Two of them we already talked about. One was my best pick, one was my worst pick. My two worst picks were Caleb McGarry from the Falcons trading up with the Rams. Rams got 31st, or the Falcons got the 31st pick in the 203, and the Rams got the 45th and the 79th. They took Caleb McGarry, which I think he's a fine prospect. I think he was more of a second rounder. I think they honestly could have got him with a 45th pick. Mm-hmm. So I really don't understand that, especially giving up a third rounder with the 79th. And also earlier they took an offensive lineman as well. They took Chris Lindstrom, the guard from Boston College. So I didn't really understand the pick. I understand the first one in Lindstrom because you want to protect Matt Ryan. I understand that. And I understand that Alec Mack is getting older, so that's definitely playing into it. But you have Jake Matthews, a very good tackle. And the biggest thing that I look at is your biggest weakness is the defensive side. Mm-hmm. And Dan Quinn is supposed to be this defensive monster. Well, give him some players that are going to be making an impact. And you look at the Atlanta Falcons taking Chris Lindstrom, which I think was a good pick again. I think it was a fine pick. I think it's defensible. But you look who went 2 picks later to your division rivals in the Carolina Panthers, a player that I love, and Brian Burns. So I think you really missed out on there. Adding him next to Vic Beasley on that front line, pressuring quarterbacks like Cam Newton, like Drew Brees, would have been a huge addition for them. Maybe they want Lindstrom because he's more of a right now player, and Brian Burns might be more of at least a project. But I really would have liked them to take Brian Burns at 14. But even if they didn't there, I would have liked them to go with maybe a corner at 31, or even a guy who could help him on the outside, because I know they took Calvin Ridley last year, and they have who's the dude that used to play for the Bengals? Mohamed Sanu, and obviously Julio Jones. But the biggest thing that I think you need is just get guys open for Matt Ryan, because if you're not going to be able to play great defense, and you're going to have guys who are injured, because depth was a big problem from them last year, at least just go up and put 45 points up a game. So get them guys who can just run down the field. And if they're covering, Julio Jones, that's going to be a huge problem for them. If they're going to have to cover Calvin Ridley, that's going to be a huge problem for them. And then you throw in like DK Metcalf in there, that's a huge fucking problem. And Matt Ryan can throw the deep ball. So that's where I look at it. I just don't understand going 2 offensive linemen right there.
Yeah, I mean, the McGarry one, I really don't like.
I would have loved Byron Murphy at 31 for them.
I absolutely would have.
But the thing that I don't mind about it is looking at the tackle position and look at what tackles had already gone. The one position they did need was right tackle, and McGarry's been a right tackle his entire career. So like that one, it's like, although I think they could have waited and maybe got him, I get the urgency to trade up for that. The earlier one, though, I'm right on with you. Like, the Lindstrom pick, when it happened, I went, what? Because I wasn't thinking Brian Burns. I was thinking defensive tackle.
Oh.
Like, they could have taken Dexter Lawrence there, and it would have been a great pick. They could have taken Jeffrey Simmons there, and I know that he probably is going to need the whole year because of the ACL injury.
Yeah, I wouldn't like Simmons there because they're in win-now mode. So they need a player that's going to go
Dexter
after.
Dexter Lawrence, though, could have been the one to solidify that inside, because there could be people that would Brian Burns say, well, they need defensive line, we're going to use him more as a linebacker.
Well, that's the thing with Brian Burns is he might have been too much a project, which I understand. And then Simmons obviously has that ACL injury, but you have that perfect blend of the two where you get the defensive tackle in Dexter Lawrence, and you get a guy who can play right now, and a guy who's still healthy because he was forced to sit out the last game in their season because of a PED suspension. So I really thought that there were probably better options for them at 14 and even 31. But the biggest one for me was 31. I think they reached on Caleb McGarry, and they could have kept that 79th pick to possibly get a guy who could have made more of an impact in that secondary. Because I think the secondary was also a need for them. So I look at that, and I think they could have done better with the 45th and 79th, and got a guy like McGarry, because I don't think he was going to go in the 33 to 44 for them. And then I think at 79, they could have gotten a guy with a defensive back who could have made more with it. Now you get a 7th rounder. Like, what are you going to be able to do with that? So.
What's one that you either liked or didn't like?
I'll go with the like. I think the Denver Broncos trading back and picking up Noah Fant was just a brilliant move by them because they get the guy they absolutely loved, picking up one of the best pass catchers in the draft entirely, and then they add in extra picks later in this draft.
Yeah.
It's a win-win move, and I feel like...
I think it's a win for the Steelers, too. I'll double down on that and say I like the Steeler end of it.
Yeah, I mean...
Trading up for a guy that they need.
I don't disagree. So win-win trade maybe for now. We'll see how the value pays off later in this draft. But.
Yeah, and you look at what Denver got back for it. They got 20, 52, and a 2020 third. And you at least look at that 52nd pick.
Yeah.
And that's going to be able to help them get one of these corners that we're looking
Absolutely.
at. You know, if Rocky Sin falls, that's a great pick for them because they need corner help because Chris Harris just demanded a trade if they don't extend him. And that's a guy who's coming off a big injury. Julian Love, a guy I love out of Notre Dame. Shockingly.
Yeah, I'll say another Golden Dumber. Wouldn't put too much stake in that.
He's a good player. He's a good leader out there. And, you know, hell, if a guy you like in who is the guy you like? The guy who wasn't drafted. You like Nasir, right? Or who's the guy that I keep thinking he likes? The safety?
Adderley is the one you thought Andy Isabella was.
Oh, Andy Isabella.
Yeah.
That's right. You like the wide receiver.
Wide receiver, yeah.
But people like Nasir as well. Adderley, the safety from Delaware. And he's a guy that, you know, if you go out and get a safety, he could be a really interesting player to pick up. So I think Denver had opened up a lot of options for them. Because taking Noah Fant at 10 would be a reach.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been a reach. So win-win. I mean, you get the guy you want, and you get extra value later on in this draft. I think he's going to be an absolute stud for them, and I expect them to use him pretty well right out the gates.
Well, and the thing, too, is like, you look at Devin Bush, and he would have been a good fit in Denver.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm on mic. He would have been a good fit in Denver. But now with that 52, you can add a secondary player who, you know, Devin Bush would have helped you over the middle. He would have helped you in the rush because you have those two fucking monsters in Chubb and Von Miller pushing those guys in.
Right.
And Devin Bush is a guy that I really like up the middle making tackles. But since he's not going to be there, if you can go out and get a guy in the secondary at 52 to go pick off balls, because, I mean, you already have a guy who's pressuring quarterbacks, and then you're pressuring quarterbacks, and you have a guy who can pick up the ball like Julian Love or a Rocky Sin.
Yeah.
Be a huge pickup for them. So not only is it Devin Bush, you're getting it's Noah Fant and a corner
setup,
and a third round pick. I really like what Denver did.
Yeah, I mean, the second half of that, like I said, I like the Steelers and what they're doing. I know they gave up picks to get them, and Devin Bush had always been a guy that I had fall to the Steelers at 20, and I just think he fits. Like Sean said on the live stream when it happened, Ryan Shazier is gone, and he's not playing football again. It's miraculous, the video that, was a month ago?
Doing the box jump?
Where he did the box jump, and it's like, fucking A, that is great for you.
It really is,
After what had happened. And that trade is like good. Like that works, and that's a good pick. But the thing that I'm a little torn about, I'm leaning towards but there's part of me that doesn't like part of it. And I both love and hate what the Seahawks did in this draft.
Oh, okay.
I love it because they got picks.
Yeah, they did.
Because they went from 4 picks to 9 picks now, which is what they needed to do. I've been saying all the way coming into this draft, the Seahawks need to find ways to get picks because they can't leave with just 4. It's just impossible to build a team with only 4 draft picks. The only thing I don't like is how they want LJ Collier at 29. And the reason why I say that is before Seahawk fans jump all over me, I get why they did it. They just traded Frank Clark away.
Yeah.
They're replacing their pass rusher. But I feel like they took a reach on him. I think they could have taken a corner at 29 and thought about edge rusher in the second.
Probably what I think, because they picked up the 37th pick from the Giants, so that's immediately going to be their next pick, I believe. So I think their thinking is they probably are going to go for secondary with that next pick, but we see how many corners and secondaries are left.
True.
So I think they're probably like, well, we're kind of splitting hairs between our top guys at corner, but we really like Collier. So let's make sure we get him, and then we could pick somebody up in the second round with that 37th pick. I agree that I really like what they did because they got the 114, the 118, the 37th, the 132, and the 142 at least today. So I mean, and they moved back twice and still had a first round pick. So I really like having the 29, 37, 132, 142, 114, 118 because that's really going to help this team. And they need this because they do obviously have their franchise in Russell Wilson. He's staying for a long time. And I think they do have weapons on the outside. They definitely at least have Tyler Lockett for a while. as long as they can keep him around. And Bobby Wagner's going to be the next big question mark for them. But maybe it's going to be a new regime for Seattle. And how do you build a new regime? You get draft picks. I like what they did.
And the thing why I'm leaning towards hate with that is this will probably not pan out this way, but it's just how I'm thinking of it. 34, 35, 36. All three of those teams, Indy, Oakland, San Francisco, all need cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Could we see a run of like corner? And it's like, great, there's not a corner here.
But I think the biggest loss they had this offseason was Earl Thomas.
Yeah.
So you got to fill that safety role. So they might even be looking corner. They might be looking safety.
Yeah. So it's like I like the trades from Seattle. I just question the first-round pick. I get why they did it. I probably would have went with a different route. Thought you could maybe get L.J. Collier at that 32nd pick. What's another one you want to mention, Sean? Either love or hate.
I have a lot that I love. I threw out Brian Burns already. I think Carolina got
a lot different than last year. Last year you were hating on a lot of things.
No, the only ones I hated were the Steelers pick. That Steelers pick was garbage.
I feel like last year we were getting a little. Maybe it was just that one pick, but you were very heated last year.
I think it was just because it was a late night.
Yeah.
And we could see what I'm like when it's late. But what I will say is I mentioned Brian Burns. I love him. I think Carolina got a great pick there. This team needs a guy who's going to be on the edge, and they have such a good defense already, and you're adding a guy who doesn't need to do – he has one specific job, and that's what I love about the Patriots. You give him one specific job, and your job is to get after the quarterback, and you're going to use that great bend, you're going to use that great speed, and you're going to get around these tackles. And I think that's going to be very interesting to see how they develop him, because not only is he going to be an interesting pick this year, he's going to be there for 5 years, and he's going to be a guy that's really going to grow and develop. So I'm really interested to see how he's going to do. The one I hate, though, I got to bring it up again. Daniel Jones, what the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah.
I think it's a horrible
should have
pick.
been 17 at the highest is where I would have taken him.
I would have been comfortable at 17 if they took Daniel Jones there, but he's my fourth quarterback. I like Drew Lock better, and I think Haskins is a better fit in the offense. I don't know what they're doing. So
Perennial Pro Bowler. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I absolutely hate the pick, especially at 6. It's a reach.
And I mean,
that's the biggest reach. It stands out, so it has to be mentioned in the worst picks.
And I'll put it up here. Giant fans are coming into this. We had a full discussion on that. I also question it and do not like it. What's another one you either love or hate?
I hated Marquise Brown going to the Ravens.
Just because you didn't want him to go there.
I understand they need wide receivers. Look, don't get me wrong, Ravens fans. I want him on a team with a quarterback with an offensive game plan that is, measured around the quarterback throwing down the field rather than the, run pass combo that Lamar Jackson provides. And I know he, will continue to develop and reading offenses and throwing downfield more and more as time goes on. But I see Marquise Hollywood Brown, and I love this kid. I want him to just be a big-time play receiver, and I want him on a team where they're going to sling it fucking 30, 40 times a game, no problem. And I just don't see that out of this Ravens team. This Ravens team's going to throw the ball like 17 times a game.
But one thing is they didn't have that great take the top off the speed defense. They didn't have a great wide receiver last year for Lamar to throw to, and we saw back in college the way he succeeded was chucking the ball deep. So if you're getting a guy, Marquise Brown, who could run the ball deep, I mean, it could be interesting.
My opinion can change, but it was just like one of those, like, I want to see
the
him
initial reaction.
Yep.
He was throwing
you want
slower
him to go
tight
to
ends.
Oakland, too.
I did. I want the Brown Bros back together.
Yeah.
I know they're not brothers, cousins, but like
Brown cousins.
Yeah,
That sounds worse. Brown Bros sounds better.
Well, I'm going to double down with you because there was an offensive pick that I didn't like in the top 10.
Oh.
And that was the Lions.
Really?
I agree with that.
I get T.J. Hawkinson is the guy who many thought was going to be in the top 10, top tight end. I thought this team should have went with Montez Sweat. This should have been or even a Rashawn Gary. This should have been an edge rusher. Even a Brian Burns, I would have been happy
My
with.
argument to that would be they just paid a ton of money for Trey Flowers. And I
Why
agree
not get more?
I agree they should have went defense. I think they should have went Ed Oliver, who went 9, right, one pick behind them. But even then, Devin Bush available.
Yeah.
I think he would have been a great linebacker for them. And then I think the biggest thing too is I think you're looking defense again. If you're looking secondary, because Darius Slay's coming up on his contract soon.
Yep.
The one thing that's the saving grace for them is they have a pick coming up, I guess, in the second round, right? I don't think they traded that pick away. And we see how many corners fell.
Yeah,
they might have the ability to take Grady
pick
Williams.
11. They got pick 11 in the second round and pick 25 from Philly in the third round.
They might be able to save themselves if they have a corner fall to 11. So if they do that, I think they'll be fine. So and maybe they even trade up. Maybe they take that package from the Eagles, move up and get a guy like Grady Williams. If they're able to do that, I think they'll be fine. But I personally, looking back, I think they should have gone defensive in that first pick. They didn't. I don't think they need that much help. They also just signed Jesse James. to be a tight end. So what are they running 2 tight end sets? I don't really love it.
They're trying to rebuild the freaking Patriots of old. Come on, you just admit it.
But they don't have the offensive
Matt
coordinator.
Patricia.
Yeah, but he's taking it's like if someone tried to explain to you through a telephone this is what stuff made the Patriots great.
Yeah.
And then you try to translate to a 7-year-old. And then they wrote down the instructions. That's what you're getting with the Lions. Am I wrong?
No.
They're we need 2 big tight ends who can catch and block. Check. 2 tight end systems are dope. Yeah. We got a quarterback.
2 tight end systems are dope, bro.
We've got a quarterback who can throw the ball pretty good.
I think we have a quarterback.
Yep. We got one of those.
You just say pretty good, and at this point in my mind, I think of Terrence Ross Game of Thrones. I'm a pretty good 3 and D.
I think what they heard over the phone was get a quarterback, and then they mumble baseball, and then because we all know that Matt Stafford knows Clayton Kershaw, so they're like, it's the baseball connection. Yeah, we know a guy who knows a baseball player. That's the thing. Not get a guy who is a multi-sport athlete.
Yeah.
Stafford probably was, but it was a joke. Shut the fuck up, Lions fans.
One I will say, I do absolutely. Sean Fashion Lions.
People are probably these guys are high. No, we're tired.
No, it's almost 2 a.m. as we are finishing this one up. One I will say I absolutely love is the Buccaneers taking Devin White.
Yeah,
I know Sean earlier on in our live stream was he can't tackle, but I think he's.
I think he could tackle when the guy's coming right at him. I just don't think he's that game changer that you want the inside position at 5.
And I think he's going to be the leader in the middle of that defense.
I'll give credit
the
to
emotional
1, 2,
leader
3,
in that
and 5 pick.
And that's a Bruce Arians thing. That's what Bruce Arians needs is that emotional leader.
Yeah. No,
you said 1 through 5 were hits?
No, 1, 2, 3, and 5.
So everyone but the Raiders.
Great job on those 4 picks, guys. You didn't fuck up. The Jets, I think, potentially got one of the best players in this draft. Obviously, Quinn Williams.
The Jets and 49ers had the easiest job because of the Cardinals.
The Redskins had an easy job too. What the fuck were they not going to do?
Exactly.
Jordan Haskins?
So I'm good with all those picks. I mean, it's just
Yeah, really. I mean, the ones that I haven't mentioned were 2 defensive tackles. I love Ed Oliver to the Buffalo Bills. This defense is going to be disgusting. Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, and their end. I'm not huge on Kevin Johnson, but he could be interesting. I think he's coming from the Texans, if I'm correct. And then you look at their linebackers. I love Tremaine Edmonds. This guy's completely underrated. Their first-round pick last year. I think he's fantastic. He's going to develop into something interesting. Matt Milano, their linebacker as well, out of BC, 5th-round pick. He's really turned into something interesting. Shockingly, he's a white guy, so he's gritty. And then you look at their line, too. Harrison Phillips, who they took last year, interesting player. Star Lotulelei, who they signed from Carolina, who knows good old Sean McDermott from their days back in Carolina. You look at Trent Murphy on the end. You look at Shaq Lawson on the end. You look at Jerry Hughes out of TCU, who I love as well, who's been there forever. And adding Ed Oliver, who's a complete monster. I really love what Buffalo's going to be able to do defensively. I question really what they're going to be able to do offensively and what steps that Josh Allen are going to be able to make, but that could always be addressed later on. So looking at what the Buffalo Bills did, they took the best player that was available at 9, and I love that pick. And the other one, Jerry Tillery, got to give my shout out to ND.
To the Chargers.
The Chargers are going to be sick this year, shockingly. If they don't go up against the Patriots, they can go to the AFC Championship game and then lose to the Patriots. But you look at this secondary, they've thrown out 19 backs. Defensive backs against the Ravens. Desmond King's a stud. Casey Hayward, obviously a stud. Derwin James is a monster. Adrian Phillips is really good too. You look at their linebackers too. They signed Thomas Davis. The Denzel Perriman's been very good for them. And then you look at the edge rushers and Bosa and Engram, and now they have Mebane, who's getting a little bit older but still good. And then you add Jerry Tillery, who I think is a really underrated stud. I really love what they did to their defense there, because that offense is going to go. And that defense was fine, but adding pressure and just adding more talent is huge for them. And I think they got a great player with Jerry Tillery.
Yeah, I'll say the last one that I'll throw out that I loved is what the Eagles did. The one thing I'll ask is, since you have it written down, what did the Eagles give up for their pick when they jumped ahead of the Texans?
I'm glad you did this. You brought this up because I was going to bring this one up too. The Ravens gave up the 22nd. Philadelphia gave up the 25th, 125, and 197, and they literally just flipped the bird to the Texans. They were like, "You want Dillard? Fuck you, Buccos."
Well, and that's the thing I like about it, because in my 6.0, I had Dillard go to the Eagles only because I had the Texans for some reason. TJ Hawkinson was there, and I had them go with him because it's like, hey, we're going to go with BPA and kind of surprise some people.
Yeah.
But even in my 7.0, when the Texans went Dillard, I had the Eagles go offensive tackle still. And I love how it's exactly what you said. It's just flipping the bird to the Texans. Like, hey, you wanted Dillard? Ha, 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 ha.
Have fun reaching.
He's one of us. And then they reached for Titus Howard. So, I mean...
Well, and it's the same thing they did to the Cowboys. The Cowboys were like, oh, we were looking for the replacement for Jason Witten. And they're like, we're going to trade up and take Dallas Goedert, even though we have Zach Ertz, you fuckers.
Yeah. And I mean, that is just like, it's beautiful for the Eagles. I personally loved it because... Yes, you have a quarterback in Carson Wentz that has been injured the last few years, and you need to protect him. And that's how you protect him, is you get Andre Dillard to be your tackle. Is there any other pick that you want to mention, Dave?
No, I think I'm pretty good. I think we covered everything except, the disappointing draft by the New England Patriots. Like, I think they really whiffed on this one.
This is the first time in my life that the Patriots have drafted a wide receiver, and I've never been happier. I wanted Lamar Jackson, who's half a receiver last year, so we took one in N'Keal Harry, and he's going to be.
Did you hate the Sonny Michel pick last year?
Yes.
He really did.
Okay. Go watch my reaction on our live stream. I fucking screamed.
That's right.
Horrible. He's fine. I like him. But yeah, N'Keal Harry finally seeing a wide receiver that Tom Brady can throw to. I am pumped.
Do you think they double down and get another wide receiver later?
Nope.
No.
Nope. They're done.
They're gonna go. They're gonna take some dude from Rutgers. Okay. Well, I think there's a guy in Rutgers in the draft. Oh wait, can I mention a couple more? Jacksonville got a steal with Josh Allen, getting him at 7.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Yes, absolutely.
Jonah Williams, love the pick for Cincinnati. I don't like Cincinnati at all, but Jonah Williams, I think getting a tackle to protect your future quarterback, whoever that may be, because it's not Andy Dalton, will be huge. Jonah Williams is going to be a guy who you could plug and play for 10 years. Love him. And then final one is going to be Dwayne Haskins. I don't think we gave enough love. It was an easy pick for Redskins, but you still did it, and you didn't fuck it up. And you also got Montez Sweat, who I wasn't able to mention earlier because we talked about him already, but I love Montez Sweat. It was a great pick.
I'm going to give out one more. Garrett Bradbury to the Vikings. We needed offensive line. And if Jonah Williams was not there for us to take, I think it was a great pick. We get someone on the interior of the line to help out with Kirk Cousins because we got to protect him.
Best draft? What team had it?
The best draft? Ooh, good question. I'm going to say Redskins had the best draft of the first round.
Redskins.
Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
Hey, they got Kyler Murray.
Worst draft?
The worst draft?
Easy.
Come back to me.
No, Giants.
I don't understand how you just hating on the Giants.
Because Daniel Jones sucks.
No.
That is my analysis. If you've been listening to this podcast for 2 hours,
if you got one thing to take away.
If you got one thing to take away, Daniel Jones was a fucking reach. Guys that I trust I trust my own eyes. I'm okay at reading quarterbacks. I hope. I picked Goff over Wentz.
See,
I said the clipboard Carson, if he's going to win a ring, he was holding the clipboard, which came true because he was injured. I just think that Daniel Jones doesn't have the arm talent. And also, if you're taking Ryan Lindsay to be your future quarterback, you're fucking stupid because that guy sucks too.
I'm not going to say the Giants because I think that the Lawrence and Baker brings that up.
I forgot they got Baker.
Yeah, they got DeAndre Baker.
Yeah, they still reach for Jones. If they had Haskins, here's the thing: if they took Haskins, they would have the best draft.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a tie. I'm gonna say it's a tie between Houston and Atlanta, because Atlanta, I feel like Houston, I feel bad because basically the Eagles just kind of we stole your pick, and they had to reach. But then also Atlanta because although the McGarry pick I'm not worried about. It was that Lindstrom pick where I'm like, you should have went defense instead.
Yeah, I think they should have went defense at least one. And the thing, too, is just you look at the Falcons, and it's the biggest thing you need is a quarterback. So keep them upright and keep them healthy. So, I mean, it's not the worst pick in the world. I don't know. There's not any horrible drafts. Oh, Broncos had a great draft, too.
Yeah,
they did.
Who do you think was the worst draft, Dave?
Clearly the Bears by not going back up in the first round.
Sure.
Hey,
Bears and Cowboys.
Hey, let's just put it this way. If Khalil Mack was in this draft, he'd be going number 1. We got him at 24. Fuck the Raiders.
That's super true, actually.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in the comment section. What were some picks you liked? What were some picks you didn't like? Were you going to say something, Sean?
No, I've said enough.
Okay. Well,
people
this
probably
is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below. Hey, I mean, live stream for 4 hours, podcast for another.
I know Dave's sick of me.
Another 3.
No, I never get sick of you, man.
This is where I do a little housekeeping at the end. Make sure to check out patreon.com/most valuable podcast. That's where you can help support us. Make sure we can get a new studio. We got the bronze tier where Dave and I on the MVP podcast talked about some interesting things like Dave's thumb and our favorite video game Juice from back in the day. You can also do the silver membership where you help pick topics for the MVP crew. Talk about our podcast, and the gold membership where you can join podcasts each and every month you're at that tier. Before I say the next one, Sean, what are you going to interject with?
Shout out to the people who also joined us in the draft class.
Mike 2K,
Mike 2K
Kyle
97,
Craig.
Kyle, Jake, and then our boy from Dublin. What was his? Freezy?
Yeah, not Freezy.
From Dublin. Yeah, it was
or
Freezy.
Nut Freezy.
Nut Freezy. Nut Freezy
Yeah,
IRL.
Nut Freezy IRL
Nut Freezy
from Dublin.
Nut underscore Freezy underscore IRL from Dublin. Shout out to the
I
boys.
respect the underscore game.
Shout out to the boys.
And then everyone else who joined it and did not join in on the chat, you guys too, were
Shout out to the 3 people who also never left. Oh,
Yeah,
that was
that's
us.
us. Also, make sure to rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. 5 stars really helps us out, gets us into the ears of more people. For Sean, for Dave, thank you guys for doing this whole with me. I could not do it without you, and I appreciate you guys for everything that you guys do for me each and every week, and what you help me out with here on the Onside Kick. But thank you guys for watching on YouTube as you're looking at our logo. Thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. And as always, have a good day, everybody.